Hey everyone, Tom here from TechNexus, and thanks for joining me for a new week of my videos. I haven't spoken too much on Revit on my channel, so I thought it might be a good week to kick off with some what's new in 2020 and then going through each of the different options and disciplines within Revit, how to get started, how I got started, sort of how I got to be able to understand how it works. It's a very different beast to an AutoCAD user, so I'm going to go through some of that, a little bit of architecture, structure, and some systems as well, and then that should cover our week. Now, before I kick off in the program itself, I just wanted to have a look at the what's new in 2020 for Revit. So it looks like here we've got PDF underlay support, so that could be good news for people who want to bring in PDFs into a Revit project. Now I know it would have been a few years ago now that Autodesk brought in Navisworks underlay, so if you're working with someone on a Revit project where you had only the Navisworks file, you could bring that in. So it looks like here they've given us the ability to bring in a PDF file. So again, I guess if people are a bit hesitant on giving you a model, then at least you can bring in a PDF to underlay it, whether you want to work with an existing file or possibly even trace over it. I guess it just depends on your workflow. Now this one I was looking at the other day, this one looks pretty good. Path of travel. So under the Analyze tab there, you can see that there's a new button there called Path of Travel. So you end up just picking points in rooms, and then the software will try and find the path of travel for that. So I guess could be handy for people, whether it's, I guess, finding distances between room, maybe for emergency as well. That could be a good option. So you do have that functionality in there. I think there was something similar to do with 3ds and or Dynamo as well, to do with path of travel too. So again, if that's your sort of thing, then you've got that option there. Elliptical walls. So I guess they've given you the ability to do non-ortho walls. You could do curved walls before, but it looks like we've got elliptical walls. So if again you're doing that sort of work, tag, schedule, and view filters for elevations. Track and edit scope box parameter in the view list. Create parts from imported geometry. So that could be good as well. I might dive into that later in the week when I do dive into the software. Copy and paste legends across sheets, handy. Improved rebar, copy and move logic. So this is something I'll go through during the week as well, talking about rebar and any of the reinforcing for the structural objects in there as well. So again, this came in, it would have been a few years ago now. They started diving more into the rebar, and I think this was part of to do with the purchase of the technology from Greytech with Advanced Steel and Advanced Concrete back in the day. Enhanced multi-rebar annotation. I guess that'll come up when we do the rebar later in the week. Steel connections for Dynamo. As good as this is, I still don't understand why they didn't do this for Advanced Steel as well. So I'm just going to fast forward this one a little bit. So again, this could have been advantageous for the Advanced Steel users as well, but for whatever reason, it's come into Revit. So yeah, it's again confusing for me why you wouldn't do it, but there it is. So I guess it might be that Revit is going to be the host of all of the steel modeling, and then we'll use Advanced Steel to detail it. Because if you didn't already know or weren't aware that we could bring in the connections from Revit to Advanced Steel, so maybe that's the workflow that they're looking at. But if you're in the steel detailing game and working with Revit, you have that option there with Dynamo. Propagation is still connections, so again that'll be something that I can go through when we go through structure later. Some electrical panel feed through lugs, home run, Revit extensions for fabrication export. So this is something I have a bit of an interest in as well. So working with the fabrication side of things and Revit, using the some of the CAD MEP functionality across CAD MEP and Revit as well. So we'll look at that later in the week. Change service improvement, allow now as multi-shaped services to be reserved. Yeah, okay. So we can have a look at that later in the week. So for now, looking at Revit 2020, the home dashboard. So this has changed over the last couple of years with the standard Revit interface. We've still got the new open and new for models, open and new for families. You have down the bottom here will be recent files, and the cloud, your BIM 360 hub will be placed down here. Here is your list of recent models, and over here will be your list of recent families. So if I just go, I'll do a new architectural template. So those templates can be set up by you for a corporate standard or for a project or whatever it is, and it'll have predefined levels and plans and sheets all set up. So this is the Revit interface itself. And as I was talking before, we have all three sort of disciplines. Revit used to be a individual sort of program. It used to be Revit Architecture, Revit Structure, and Revit MEP, and over the years they incorporated them all together, so you can just switch between architecture and structure and steel all in here. The insert tab, so inserting different CAD file types, working with Civil 3D files in the cloud, point clouds, Navisworks files, and here you can see that new PDF import. The annotate tab, which is just all of the annotations, so any tags and text and dimensions and anything else, any other symbols, it all come from here. The analysis tools, so if you're into the analysis side of things, this is where you'll be spending a bit of your time. Massing and site, this is something we can go through when we do format imports. So when we do insert a format object, we can come in and nominate it, whether it's a roof or a wall or a floor, and we've got topo surface and we've got some site components and parking. Collaborate. If you're working in BIM 360, this is where you'll need to click on the collaborate button to collaborate in the cloud, and then nominate any settings in here. View settings, thin lines, thick lines, any other view templates. Basic project management, so setting up the project information, excuse me, project parameters, any other global, all the location settings are in here. Some macros and the Dynamo functionalities over here. Any other extra add-ins that you've installed, so this might be either from the App Store or from Autodesk themselves. So you can see here we've got the advanced steel, the format one, which I'll go through as well, and the fabrication, so importing and exporting jobs there as well. Quantification, if that's your thing as well, you can come in here and get schedule and quantities out of it. Site designer. Again, you may use it, but if you're working with Civil 3D people, then it might be just easier to insert topo from that. But again, it just really depends. The BIM interoperability tools, which we'll go through later in the week, and the modified tab as well. So that's it. And then down the left-hand side here on the interface, we've got the properties area. So this is just when you select an object. So just if I quickly draw a wall in here. So this is the property of the view that I'm looking at. So I'm looking at the ground floor. But then if I pick a wall, then I get the wall. So this tells me that it's a double brick wall. I can come in here and look at what the components of that. So this double brick is 110 mil of brick, 50 mil air barrier, and 110 mil of masonry. So when I do zoom in and I switch to my fine mode, you can see here there's the brick with the 50 mil air gap in that as well. Okay. So with the view, we can turn on or off different model categories. So if I don't want to see cable trays, I can turn them off in this view. And if I do want to see duct, then I can tick them on. So you can see by default most of them are on. Masses are off and parts are off, but you can go through and adjust them to suit your own needs and requirements. View range, so how you want to see, if you click on the preview there, it'll tell you how far for this view. So the top view is offset at 2300, and the cut plane which is over here, so it is at 1200. The bottom view, there's no offset down below, and the view depth, there's nothing there as well. So we're only looking between 0 and the 2300 there. And that's it for the properties. And then for the project browser, so this is the overall project itself, and I'll just dock the properties back over here. So with the project browser itself, this is where we have the plans, so any other views, sections, elevations. So now I'm looking at the ground floor. If I look at the east view, then I can see that wall there in my eastern view. If I look at the north view, then I can see that wall there as well. So as I do stuff to that wall, this will, all the views will obviously change. If I go through the section, so you can see we've got a section through there, it's showing that wall as well. I'll throw a door in there just to show you. So if I throw a door in there, and I'll throw a window, so then the already defined door schedule shows us that there's one door there on the ground floor and one window there as well. Okay, so as you put things in your model, these schedules will all change. Also the sheets. So this is the out-of-the-box sheet. So what I can do is I can drag the ground floor view onto the sheet, and then you can see that there's all my elements appear, and then this is where I can add or remove any text or annotation in here as well. And this is an important one down here, the families. So this is where in Revit terms, a family is similar, it's the same thing as an AutoCAD block. So I've got different doors in here, and I can go through and look for the windows. So these are all the families that are inside the Revit project. It's never recommended to load too many families in here, just really only use the ones that you need. Otherwise you're just going to start bogging down the file, and it'll just get too big for the project. I'm not saying it'll be immediate, but as the project gets bigger and bigger, then you might start seeing performance issues as well. But Revit can easily handle, I've heard of files being a couple gig at least. So don't be too afraid to try and find its limits. It is good in that respect. So that's the project browser there itself. Okay, and then just for the usual interface over here, we've got some of the navigation wheel tools. And if I switch to the default 3D view, so if I go to view and click on the little house icon, it switches me to 3D view, then I can see there, very similar to AutoCAD, where I've got my view cube there, I've got the house to home, which takes me to the home icon. I can look at it in perspective view as well. So if that's the way I like to work, then you can do that, and we've got other functionality here as well. So that's something we'll dive into as we progress through the week. So hopefully it's been informative for you. If you're a new Revit user, then don't be too shy to jump into it. You just have to change your thoughts a little bit. You're modeling in 3D, not in AutoCAD sort of 2D. So keep following me for the week. Thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. Please do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon for daily notifications of all of my videos. And I'll see you tomorrow for some Revit architecture. So we're going to spend the whole time just looking at all of the different options here, seeing what we can and can't do, and then we'll keep going through all of the different options through the week. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for some Revit architecture. See ya.